Summer 1914. Banks across Europe are quietly dying. Too much debt, not enough gold. A financial system held together by hope and handshakes. Then a bullet in Sarajevo changes everything. Within weeks, the largest war in human history begins. And the banks that were dying, suddenly they're saved. Like Finny says, nothing saves a failing bank faster than a government that needs to borrow $1 billion by Tuesday. This is that story. Welcome to Finny Chronicles, where history meets money, power meets consequence, and every story is a warning somebody ignored. Let's rewind 7 years. October 1907. The New York Stock Exchange is in free fall. Banks failing, trust companies collapsing, people rioting to withdraw their savings. It starts with a failed scheme to corner the copper market. When it collapses, it takes down the Knickerbocker Trust Company. Within days, 12 banks fail. The stock market loses half its value. One man stops it, J.P. Morgan. At 70 years old, Morgan locks Wall Street's most powerful men in his private library. They aren't leaving until they pool their money and stop the bleeding. It works, barely, but everyone knows the truth. When J.P. Morgan dies, who saves the system next time? Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Europe has the same problem. By 1914, European banks are drowning in debt. They'd lent billions to build railroads, finance industries, fund empires. But under the gold standard, every paper currency has to be backed by actual gold, and banks are running out. If everyone tries to convert their pounds to gold at once, there isn't enough. By summer 1914, the global banking system is a house of cards. One strong wind and it all comes down. Like Finny says, the best time to find out your bank is broke is never. The second best time is before everyone else figures it out. We're building the complete timeline of financial history on this channel, from Rome to Wall Street. If you want to see how the next crash will happen by studying the past, make sure to subscribe. Okay, let's get back to the video. June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria is visiting Sarajevo. It's supposed to be ceremonial. A 19-year-old named Gavrilo Princip is waiting, part of a nationalist group that wants Bosnia free from Austro-Hungarian rule. That morning, his group tried to kill the Archduke with a bomb. It failed. But then, according to most accounts, the Archduke's driver makes a wrong turn. The car stalls, right in front of Princip. 2 shots, the Archduke and his wife are dead within minutes. No one realizes what they've just started. Austria blames Serbia. Russia backs Serbia. Germany backs Austria. France backs Russia. Britain backs France. Within 5 weeks, every major power in Europe is at war. And bankers sitting in their offices far from the front realize their prayers have just been answered. Like Finny says, wars are started by bullets, but they're finished by banks that found a lifeline. August 14. The war is days old. Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer says, "Gentlemen, we need money, millions of pounds every week, to pay soldiers, buy weapons, feed armies, build ships." And the banks, who days ago were worried about insolvency, suddenly have the most credit-worthy borrower in history, the British government. Here's how it works. The government issues war bonds, IOUs, promises to pay back the money with interest after the war. Banks buy these bonds, not with gold, with newly created money. Wait, where did that money come from? They printed it. Normally, printing money without gold to back it is suicide, inflation, collapse. But during a war, it's called patriotism. And it's not just Britain. France does it, Germany does it, Austria does it, Russia does it. Within months, by some estimates, the global money supply increases by as much as 50%. Banks are lending governments money they literally just created and charging interest on it. Think about what's happening. On one side, millions of men dying in trenches. On the other, banks making record profits. Meet Thomas Atkins, 19 years old, volunteered the week war was declared. He thought it would be over by Christmas. By 1916, he's in the trenches at the Somme. He's paid 1 shilling per day, about $6 in today's money. His mother deposits his pay in their local bank. That same bank uses those deposits to buy government war bonds, bonds worth 1,000 times what Thomas makes in a year. They earn 5% interest. Thomas dies at the Somme, age 20. His mother gets a telegram and £3 in back pay. The bank's annual report that year shows profits up 300%. Like Finny says, 1 shilling bought a soldier's life, 1 bond bought a banker's mansion.
Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, America isn't at war, not yet, but American banks see an opportunity. Britain and France need loans, huge loans. They need real dollars to buy American steel, American wheat, American weapons. The British government asks J.P. Morgan Jr. for a loan, $500 million. In today's money, that's over $100 billion. He says yes, but there's a catch. Interest, 5%. Collateral, British gold reserves. Literally. Britain starts shipping its gold to New York. By 1917, American banks hold more gold than any nation in history. Financial power, centered in London for a century, starts shifting to New York. When America enters the war in 1917, it sells war bonds to its own citizens, $17 billion worth, and banks act as middlemen for every transaction. Like Finny says, patriotism is profitable if you're holding the mortgage. November 11th, 1918, 11 a.m. The guns stop. The war is over. 20 million dead, 21 million wounded. Empires collapsed. And the banks? Healthiest they've been in decades. Britain owes £7.4 billion. France, 227 billion francs. Germany, 132 billion marks in reparations, all owed to banks. Those war bonds will be paid back with interest for the next 50 years. Britain made its final World War I debt payment in 2015, 97 years after the armistice. Some loans outlive the people who signed them. American banks, flooded with European gold and war profits, become the most powerful financial institutions on Earth. New York replaces London as the world's financial capital. The war that nearly destroyed civilization built the modern banking system. Like Finny says, you can't stop the forest from burning, but you can learn which trees survive fire. So here's the takeaway. 20 million people died in World War I. Young men like Thomas Atkins, 19 years old, 1 shilling a day. Their sacrifice was real. Their courage was real. But while they were dying in trenches, banks were being reborn. The war bonds that financed the war became the model for modern government debt. The structure built in 1914 is the structure we live in today. Every mortgage, every car loan, every student debt payment, they all flow through a structure perfected in 1914, when banks learned that governments at war will pay any price. That's not a conspiracy, it's just history. The question is, are you going to understand it? Like Finny says, not every acorn needs to be a forest, some just need to survive winter. So here's the question. Did banks profit from World War I or just survive it? Is there a difference? Drop a comment. I want to know what you think. And if you want to understand how money has shaped history from ancient Rome to modern Wall Street, subscribe to Finny Chronicles. We drop new stories every second day. Next time, the Venetian money empire, how a city became a bank. See you then.